So next up we have Marvin Carr, who has a very long title, Policy Advisor on STEM Education, Diversity and Inclusion. Did I get that right, Marvin? Please, come on.
Hello, everybody. So my roots are in the Baptist church. They don't believe in time limits. So if you don't mind, let me know when I have 8 minutes left, or when I've gone 8 minutes. All right. And so, hi, my name is Marvin Carr. I am working at the White House in the Office of Science and Technology Policy. My primary role is to advise the President and the administration on STEM education, diversity and inclusion, among other things. And so I kind of just want to speak to my experiences. When I speak about the structural and cultural barriers that prevent so many women and people of color, especially in our inner city schools, from pursuing STEM and many other educational aspirations, I often hear, well, Marvin, you made it, right? You're a young black man from, some of the worst parts of Detroit, and you went on to, get a PhD in electrical engineering. You're at the White House, right? So you made it. So everyone else had the same opportunity to achieve that you did. So why didn't they, right? I hear that more times from black and white folks than you can actually believe. And what's interesting about that is that they really don't believe that my story is truly the exception, right? And so for a very long time, I've been trying to figure out how can I make my story and the story of so many other people like me, and you all in the audience, not the exception, but the expectation for young people of color in our inner city schools and for women in our schools all across the country. And so I kind of want to just kind of break the ice a little bit, all right? So we're all teachers. Hope we have pens. Some folks argue that they are not responsible or they don't have any biases when it comes to restricting the opportunities for girls and people of color to pursue STEM. So I want to do a quick exercise, all right? I want everybody to think of a number between 1 and 10. You might want to write it down. Think of a number between 1 and 10. Got it? All right. Multiply that number by 9. Okay? If it's a two-digit number, add those numbers together. So if it's a 1 and 9, it's a 10. Got it? All right. Good? Now subtract 5 from that number. All right. Now convert that number to a letter. So if it's an A, it's a 1. If it's a B, it's a 2. You ready? You got it? All right. Take the last letter. Think of a country that starts with that letter. Think of a country that starts with that letter, okay? Everybody got it? Take the last letter in that country's name and think of an animal that starts with that letter. Okay? Ready? All right. Now, take the last letter and that animal's name and think of a piece of fruit that starts with that letter. All right? So, how many of y'all are thinking about a kangaroo holding an orange in Denmark? Raise your hand. Raise your hands higher. Okay. All right. So we are here at Yale, right? We're in our Western civilization. If we were in South America, you'd have been thinking about an aardvark holding a kiwi in Dominica. I'm going to get there, right? If we're in West Africa, if we're West African, we think about an orangutan holding a nectarine in the Dominican Republic of Congo. If we were in the West Indies, we would think about a crab holding a banana in the Dominican Republic. East Asia, we think about an antelope holding an egg fruit in the Democratic Republic of Korea. And if we were in East Africa or in Arabia, we think about an Indian elephant holding a tangerine in Djibouti. All right? So what does this mean, Dr. Carr? Right? This means that no matter what you do, you cannot escape environmental biases. So that's all I'm saying. Right? So we just had 80% of the room get to the exact same path, although there are thousands of choices you could have made. Millions, if you do the mathematics, of paths you could have taken, but you all took the exact same path, right? That's simply because of our socialization, our environmental socialization. And it's important for all of us to know how that environmental socialization affects our biases, how those biases affects the lives of young people of color and of women. So how can we use that knowledge truly to affect change and the way that we teach our young people? So the debate for the importance of STEM is over, right? For the first time, I don't know if you heard this, in November, 50.2% of K through 12 students in public schools were non-white, right? Which happened 14 years before the Department of Education believed that it would happen, right? And so the question now is, in the next 25 years, for me as an engineer, who's going to protect the nuclear deterrent, right? Who's going to create economic impact and the economic future of America? No longer can we ignore the importance of diversity in STEM and entrepreneurship as well. And so the debate is over, right? And so that debate is, we need to leave that debate alone. Also the debate about why the level of mastery, why black and brown kids and girls don't perform as well in math and science, that debate is over. We kind of know the answer, right? There are structural issues, there are social issues, and there are cultural issues that are to blame for the system and for parents, right? That pretty much tells us why it's more difficult, quote unquote, for those particular folks to do well. And so my research is in socio-cognitive issues in education, particularly among young girls of color. And both myself and the administration, I think there are three things that teachers can approach the STEM issue. I don't know how much time I got left, but I'm gonna do it real quick. 1 minute. So the three things. So the first thing is change the way that we teach them STEM. The second thing is change the way that we show them STEM. And lastly, change the way that we ourselves view our own biases and how they can learn STEM. Three very, very simple things. So when I think of STEM, I think of PE. I've never known a PE teacher who walks on the first day of gym with a 400-page book and says, here, read this book, and at the end, I need you to win the state championship without ever coming onto the basketball court and choose a team and do well, right? And so there are certain things that just doesn't work for certain students. Teaching mathematics, teaching physics with a textbook alone would not have helped me, right? If I didn't have the type of teachers growing up and the experiences growing up that allowed me to be active and learn these experiential approaches to STEM, I wouldn't be where I am today. And so it's all about creating opportunities and really, really taking innovative approaches to instruction. And then the last thing, I'm sorry, right here behind me. The last thing is change the way that we show them STEM. And it's kind of mixed between the last two things. Growing up in Southwest Detroit, I never knew someone with a PhD, not once. I never met an engineer. I never met an astrophysicist. I only knew my teachers. Most of my teachers couldn't really do math themselves, unfortunately. And so my only view of STEM and science was through media and through popular culture. And popular culture showed STEM to me as a corny, quote-unquote, white guy with a pocket protector, right? And usually a male, usually white, but never female, very rarely African-American. And so when I said, hey, I wanted to be an engineer, I had nothing really to look up to. And so if you think about your classrooms, how do we reinforce those stereotypes of what a botanist is, those stereotypes of what an engineer is? And so those are the small things that aren't structural, but really just social and cultural that can really do an amazing job in helping our students and our teachers teach STEM better. Thank you.